breathing techniques, autogenic drainage by myself. And that for me was great because I could go independent without mum. Wasn't so good for mum because I can't speak as a parent, I have fur babies, but I'm sure as a lot of parents and grandparents, you probably struggle with that whole anxiety thing of, I won't use the word control because that's really, really harsh, but you control your child. You make sure they have their medication, you make sure they do that. And then when I hit this age where mum wasn't needed to do my physio, it was like she lost control. We thankfully have and did have a fantastic relationship, so it wasn't that bad. But I remember when I first got my driver's licence and I was able to go to the hospital by myself, oh, she hated it. She hated it because she didn't have that control. And, you know, when I got home, she's like, well, what did the doctor say? Oh, you're great, everything's great. She's on the phone straight away. So, is everything really, really great? And I was a compliant child and adult, although it got to the point where I discovered that I was more productive in the morning. So I would then centre myself on physio in the morning and not so much in the afternoon, which, you know, I'm sure if you've got teenagers, that they'll work all that out anyway. But yeah, so my relationship with my mum is a fantastic one, and it was really good through the times I got sicker and sicker, and we had to move to Sydney for my transplants. They weren't obviously 21 years ago doing them here in Perth. And I think that's where we sort of, where our relationship and our closeness grew stronger, except for mum was going through menopause at the time. So there's the two of us in this apartment, mum's going through menopause, and I'm just like, oh my God. Now that's something I've got to look forward to. And yeah, like I remember saying to her when I got my call for transplant, because I was so sick, I said to her, I love you so much, you're my rock, and if I don't make it, just remember, you've got me to this point. So it was all happy days, and you know, we have our arguments because we're very much alike, we're quite stubborn, strong-headed, opinionated, yeah, but just, I can only talk from, you know, what it's like as a child and an adult with CF. I would never begin to understand what it's like as a parent with CF. Mm. But when they say they hate you and we don't like this and we don't like that, just shove it down their throats, I say. So my mum used to do and it worked on here.
Yeah. Can you see any big differences, so like, I mean, when you were a child to what some of the parents are sort of experiencing with their children now?
I think the difference now is that with social media, there's so much more support. There's so much, like you touched on, Dr. Google. I work in medical and it's the worst thing ever. Everyone diagnoses themselves. People get on the internet and research what they've been told, and before you know it, a molehill has become a mountain. Treatment is so much better. I mean, my first bronchoscopy was after my transplant.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't doing bronchoscopies then. That's what when one of the mothers of a young child said to me, like years ago, oh, so-and-so's going into hospital for a bronch. And I was like, oh, they had a transplant. Oh no, this is what they do now. No, for us it was wait till you couldn't walk and, you know, and then treatment is so different. Much better, definitely.
Can I ask, how long ago did you have your lung transplant?
21 years next month.
Oh, 21 years.
And do you still need physio?
Oh no, that stops. You don't have that.
Once you've got your lungs?
Yeah.
What was your lung capacity down to?
When I left Perth, I don't know the percentage because we never did percentage in my day, but I was blowing, FEV1 was 0.08 of a litre. And I was on oxygen overnight, and prior to my transplant, I couldn't even blow it. I couldn't even pump it.
So what's an average FEV1 for Well, that's forced expiratory volume.
Oh yeah, I know that. What's
Yeah.
the percentage?
Look, it varies so much depending on height and weight.
Right,
and all,
yeah.
so
You can
it's going to be
expect it
different
like
for
that,
everybody, but that's very cool.
Yeah, that's it's lovely variation.
Now he's physiotherapist, I can tell you it's 100%. Yeah.
Are you pancreatic sufficient or insufficient?
Insufficient. So I still need to take enzymes. Although I found that as I got sicker, I needed more enzymes.
From an absorption perspective?
From an absorption perspective,
You don't
perspective,
change,
yeah. But now I don't bother with snacks or anything like that. I just, it depends what I'm going to eat. Like I had a ham and salad sandwich today. I had one. And because again, we were never taught how to do the whole, yeah, that's right. How many grams of fat? I would not have what was in a chicken. How many grams of fat was in a chicken? I wouldn't have a clue. It was just trial and error. And I can tell you today it still is.
Yeah.
So it's,
Is that a 10,000 or a 25?
25.
25.
Yeah.
Makes me feel better.
Do you have advice for parents, grandparents?
I don't really feel that I should give advice because I don't have children myself.
I mean, looking at your mum, from your mum's kind of perspective.
Oh, okay,
stuff
from mum's
that's
kind of,
got her through.
Okay, so I was the eldest. I've got 2 younger brothers, and I was never wrapped in cotton wool. I was never made to feel that I was any different. Like my brothers would get down and punch each other, and I'd be in the middle there. And it was never, again, things are so much different these days. But it was never like, don't touch Cazy, she'll bruise easily or whatever. I would always do what my brothers did. I always went wherever my brothers went. We did everything as a family. So I went to school, I played sport, went swimming, did all that type of stuff.
It's funny that you say that in your perspective, because I find that interesting with what you're saying, and it goes back to knowledge, isn't it? How normal your life how much your life would be normal to you then, to a person or a young one today, growing up with it. Your treatment, so you were treated without the knowledge as that's what you do. Whereas now,
There's more cotton wool.
there's more cotton wool, stay away from wet areas, or, do this, do that. It's change, and it's hard to sort of say whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I agree. I mean, even with me being immune suppressed, I worked in medical before I left to go to Sydney, and when I had my transplant, I was working for a GP at the time. He, obviously Mum rang him and he rang and spoke to me and he said, okay, so when are you coming home? When do you want your job back? And I was like, oh my God, germs. And I spoke to the transplant physician and he said to me, well, what did you have your transplant for?
Yeah.
I said, well, to lead a normal life. He said, well, get out there. That's what I've done. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I go to Bali where, people with immune suppression shouldn't go to Bali. I go to Bali about 3 times a year. For my 18th anniversary, I jumped out of a plane.
With a parachute on.
Oh, yeah. But I just think, as a person with CF, I think that it's bad enough knowing that you're different than everybody else, let alone having it stamped on your head as well. That's my perspective. If you ask someone else who's CF, it may be completely different. But like I said, I'm opinionated, and that's just my perspective. Yeah, I think as normal as you can, given what you have to deal with.
But it's great you're here to talk because, we appreciate the
Yeah.
difference in listening to somebody that has been through at a different age, different time. So
Yeah.
it's great.
Thank you.
Did your friends all know you had CF, and so it was all full disclosure, everyone knew, or did you feel like you wanted to keep that to yourself?
No,
To any extent?
everyone knew. And what happened in primary school, like my close friends knew, but I had a really bad infection and had to go to hospital. I wasn't given intravenous antibiotics back in those days, but when I got back to school, everybody came running up to me and said, oh no, we hear you're so sick. And it's like, well, no, I'm not really. So I've always disclosed it to people. I think it's better that they know and they hear my perspective on what the disease is rather than somebody who's got no idea.
In hindsight, is there anything you would have done different that we could empower our children to do?
I would have played more sport. This is what I talk about, the different times. I used to play netball, and when I was 10, I ended up with pneumonia, and my respiratory physician then said to me, oh, you need to give up sport.
Oh.
Yeah, so I may not have needed my transplant as quick as I did. I mean, who knows? And it was then, back in my day, it was don't play sport, and eat lots of fatty food. And you know, now it's play sport and eat fatty food.
And also like salt, they do, right?
No, we did. We used to have salt tellers, but that was mum buying them just off her back. It wasn't anything sort of
Because it
recommended.
tasted sweaty, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
You need it,
Yeah. That wasn't, you know. But now when I go to Bali, I take them with me because I find that I do get exhausted. But yeah, I just think, you know, as much as it's a horrible disease, you wouldn't push it on your worst enemy. But what are you going to do? You don't have a choice. It's embrace it and get on with it, or let it destroy you mentally quicker than it's going to destroy you physically. And that's why all my friends knew. So that if I wasn't well or I wasn't up to doing something, then they were just like, oh yeah, that's okay. Rather than have to make up an excuse. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Rather than have to keep up making excuses all the time.
I would like, with your permission, I believe this is being video, to show my 8-year-old recording, just to show that you're a normal person.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to the kids?
Oh, definitely. Just, you know, like I said, it's not a disease that you wish on your worst enemy, but there's worse things that you can have. Okay, so you have to do physio in the morning, you've got to do physio in the afternoon, you've got to take vitamins, you've got to take antibiotics, you've got to take your enzymes with each meal.
It's not hard.
It's not hard.
And from the kids' perspective, they've been doing that their whole life.
That's right. We know no different. We know no different. It's just that, you know, I carry around a bag of pills in my bag, where you don't.
Well, I do.
Well, yeah, that's right. Not for yourself, anyway. Yeah. You know, it could be worse. There's so many worse off people out there.
Yeah.
So much worse off. They're in wheelchairs, or, you know, they can't walk or something like that. We can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you keep doing your treatment, looking after yourself.
But staying healthy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. You know, that's another thing. Like, if you're tired, rest. That's my excuse if I need an afternoon nap. Because I've got to see
You
it.
do too, That's
I get an afternoon rest because I'm a mother of someone.
Well, that's right. Exactly. It's the same.
I'm worried that my son will be labelled with CF. Like, he won't be known for who he is, but he'll be known for having cystic fibrosis. Did you feel that way, or?
No.
Maybe that's just a fear that, I don't know.
Yeah, and I
I
encourage you with that because there are so many kids at school with all sorts of stuff
Exactly.
these days. You know, there's
You're likely if you don't have a label, really.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
asthma or anaphylaxis or, you know,
there's
whatever
all
you've
sorts of
got.
things. Diabetes, there's all sorts of things. You could easily have 3 kids in your son's kindy class and you have something. So, you know,
And there
it's
is
just
just
part of the
special
course.
needs and all that sort of thing in classrooms now, so
Yeah, it's just part of the course.
I think if you let CF define you, then that's something you've done yourself. You know, that's a choice that you make, obviously, as an adult, you know, when you're in your teens. And if you want to live that label and only be known as Caz, who has CF, CF that has Caz, not Caz, who has CF. That's the difference. It doesn't define who I am. I'm me.
I have to go to school.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you all for a lovely day. Thank you all. And,
Do you want me to go pick off the
Yeah. I think if if he gets out and does normal things, he's just going to be. So what's your son's name?
He's Rory. He's only 19 months, so I'm kind of new toddler.
Oh right, yeah. So just treat him normal. Just
That's what we tried to do.
yeah. I know it's hard. There's so many great parents out there. No, that's okay.
You can have another one.
Just have to pack it.
I think you're crying now. Wait till he's 19, you'll be crying more.
I need that laughing man back again.
You need that phone call.
Yes. How good is the pickup rate now for donor lungs for CF?
There's a lot that comes into it. It's not just, there's what they call the ischemic time. So that's the time that the organs are taken from the donor.
Oh, I know about that. I know. I'm sorry. But I am a donor family, so my son's lungs are in a CF recipient in Sydney somewhere.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I know all about that.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what chance has your son got of getting a lung transplant?
Oh,
And
can I just say, I mean, it's a completely different era now.
Yeah.
I mean, kids born today, I mean, they're expecting at least 50
years.
I mean, it's completely...
50-60%.
No,
years.
years.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, so I mean, transplant possibly won't be even needed
Oh,
by the time
okay.
these kids become that age. So.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Makes you keep fit as a grandma. What's my lungs?
Yeah. I mean, treatments are, like the treatment's so much, that's why they're doing bronchs now, to pick up when there is infection, rather than like in my day where you waited till you had the infection.
And it was obvious.
And it was obvious, that right, you're like, I wouldn't be able to walk from here to there because of the infection. So things are so much, I mean, honestly, if someone said to me, when do you want to be born with CF, I'd say right now. Because it's a fantastic time. There's so much research going on, and so I think you'll find that children that are 10 years old today will never need a transplant because of treatment, and it's just us old ones.
What did she say?
Just our old ones. They're just us old ones.
But it is hard when you're a mum and you've got your precious baby who's, you're worrying ahead.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do as a mother in general.
Well, that's right.
Of course you do. Of course
But
you
the other problem is that CF is quite isolating, in that you're not encouraged to have any contact with another CF person, and so you don't see them unless you're at clinic. And I must say, I found it really interesting the first few times we went to clinic after Marina was diagnosed, because I got to see that these kids really looked quite normal.
That was a big thing for me,
Yeah.
actually. I thought like Rory was going to be deformed in some way.
Yeah.
Looking.
Yeah. But they're not, they're quite normal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, I was a nurse in the old days, probably in your days, Cass.
Yes.
And I just, you would have been in hospital diagnosed as, and the kids that come through here, I just look at them and say,
It's just amazing. Like back in my day, you could tell a CF because we were skinny, we had no boobs and no butt. Now you hear that cough and you look
I know
around.
that, but I didn't see it.
So did I.
And now I remember after my transplant going back to Charlie's, and I was in the pharmacy and I heard this cough and I thought, okay, that's a CF cough, and I turned around and there is this girl, like just with this normal everyday figure, and I thought, how the hell did that happen? But yeah, that's just how God is.
yeah, so it's very encouraging.
It is, absolutely.
It puts a smile on your face.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw the news last night when it's a guy from the Children's Institute, Dr. Joe, he was on there with Jackson, the little CF boy, telethon boy.
Oh, Jason.
Jason. And he was talking about, people with CF living to 50s and 60s, and the life expectancy now is 50 years, so it's going to be like,
And
that's just...
yeah, I mean, your mother wasn't told anything positive like that, have they?
No, my mum was told I'd be lucky to make it to 13. Then when I did that, it was 16. Then after that, it was 18. And after that, it was 21. And it was like, okay, we give up now. That's all right. It's like when you walk into a shop and it's a size 10 dress. That's not going to fit the average size 10. So it's just the luck of the draw. Yeah.
And there's no number on it really.
There's not any number on it.
I've got a
Oh, yeah,
70-year-old intellectually challenged brother, and Desley's my daughter who's just left, she often says to Austin when he was very young, because his behaviour was a little bit strange, my brother's, your lungs don't work as well, and Uncle Graham's brain doesn't work as well, so we've still got to respect that.
Yes.
And that's helped him a lot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not, we all have little things.
Yes.
You just got to learn to respect each other's little ailments.
And I think that's a good thing as well. Like even myself, I recently had surgery on my foot, and I'm walking through the shopping centre the other day, and I had a crutch, and this was bigger than it is at the moment. And this little kid just looked at me and went, ugh. And I thought, there it is, there. And I think that's a great thing that you've done. You've taught your grandson that not everybody's the same, but they're all sort of dealing with something. And I think that's a great thing for bullying as well.
You know, I was poor Desley, I heard her speak to him like that.
Yes.
Because he looks at Uncle Graham, 70 carrying on like this
Yeah.
10-year-old. And she often says, you must respect the fact that his brain doesn't work the same as your lungs don't.
Oh. No, I think that's good.
I just think that would be all right.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, any last minute questions?
Can I just say something? Kaz and I were part of a travel presentation at the recent Cystic Fibrosis Australia conference. It's now online, if any of you want to. It's about how to travel as a CF family or CF patient or something, and just the logistics. Okay? Yeah, it's through the CFR website, and you just click on their page about the conference, which looks as though you're about to register, but all that's been taken off. So it's just all the, and it's not only the travel one that's on there, there's quite a few of the sessions as to our own. So do go and have a look.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a great thing to have a look at.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Will you drive?
Automatic. If I'm going to stuff up the wrong foot, it's going to be the right one for me to drive.
Do you want a hand?
No, I'm right, honey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure you give me a speaker a good tip.
Spend some time talking. Actually, it's quite good.
I can't actually see it properly.
Got plenty of time, I'm going to go on record.